As medical advancements extend our lifespans, savvy investors and planners must adapt to the evolving healthcare landscape. This shift presents new opportunities and challenges in both investing and personal health planning. For investors, staying abreast of healthcare trends is crucial. Emerging sectors like telemedicine, personalized medicine, and biotechnology are reshaping healthcare delivery, offering potential investment opportunities. Diversifying into healthcare stocks or funds, especially those focusing on senior care, pharmaceuticals, and medical technology, can be a strategic move. Personal investment strategies must also consider extended lifespans. Planning for longer retirement years means assessing healthcare costs over a prolonged period. This requires a balance between securing adequate coverage and maintaining financial resources effectively. In conclusion, the intersection of healthcare and financial planning is increasingly important. Staying informed about healthcare trends and aligning investment strategies with the reality of living longer enables informed decisions, securing financial stability and preparedness for future healthcare needs. Toby, earlier you described that it's pretty binary. You're either eating right or you're not. One of the things that stands in our way is that we get busy, right? Like life gets in the way. We don't have time. You're a mom to 3 kids. Does it frustrate you as a nutritionist that like America cannot eat better? It seems like we're always making the wrong choices.
Something it's not a black and white thing. And I always say one of the things that I've been discussing a lot lately is I'm seeing a lot of people that are basically black and white. Let's take added sugar, for example. So they're like, I can't have any added sugar in the diet. And I think that's exactly what sets someone up for failure when it's an all or nothing. I think, Michelle, you hit on that. But if you actually even look at the dietary guidelines, they even tell you you can't. It's impossible to get 0. You can only, the lowest you could go is 2 and 3%. And so sometimes, when I develop my recipes too, I do add added sugar, maple syrup or honey, because you have to understand where you can use these flavor enhancers. So for example, let's say you wanted a bowl of oatmeal. It doesn't taste so great on its own. You do need some sort of sweetness in there, or you can have it savory, but let's say most people like it sweet. So utilizing a teaspoon, 2 teaspoons in there of some sort of added sugar, to me, that's okay. You're topping it with fruit, you're topping it with nuts, and added sugar cereal, like the cereals with sugar, I'm okay with that too. And research actually shows that the added sugar from cereal is by far not, it's number 5 on the list or 6 or tied for 5th. It's not number 1, 2, 3, or 4 over there. There are other things. And research shows that you're eating that cereal with a fruit and with milk. So you have 3 food groups right there. So yes, you can find lower added sugar cereals, and there's a variety available. You can mix the higher added sugars, but there is a flexible way to eat, and no one way is correct to eat. You have to find the flexible way that is for you. And that is the most important thing to learn. And guilt associated in this society with how we're eating and the black and whiteness of it is terrible and takes a terrible toll on youngsters and even adults, of how they should or shouldn't eat. And so when you do seek the help of a registered dietitian nutritionist, sometimes we go by RD or RDN, they're the same thing. But, you need to find one that really works with you. And if that, a lot of people used to come to me, please give me that meal plan. Where's that meal plan? Hand it out, the 1800. No, I don't give you a meal plan because you don't like chicken, let's say, you're allergic to this that's on there. No, it's not for you. You need your own meal plan. You're your own person. And I think that is something that, some people are starting to think about enjoying your food as opposed to, just kind of eating everything that's in front of you. And we're really evolving, and there still is so many misconceptions about food and nutrition out there. I'm not even going to get into the world of supplementation. That is very high up and forthcoming right now, with health conditions and supplementation and unregulation of that whole thing. But there's a lot going on. There's a lot that's coming up too.
I want to ask Mike or Manisha, since Manisha sometimes wears an analyst hat, like, what are mega trends in the healthcare industry or sector that investors should be paying attention to for the next 5, 10, 20 years?
You're muted, Manisha.
I'm going to defer to Mike on this one. Totally.
Okay. Well, as you know, I am the PM of the Pink Fund, and we're in a remarkable spot in healthcare. I did drug development, mostly in gene therapy for my first leg of science. And I was very lucky to have brought 2 different drugs to the clinic from whiteboard concept into humans. And part of me, what got me into doing investing was that I knew that both of those studies were going to fail. Not because I just knew intuitively from the efficacy and so forth. And I was about 28 years old at the time and discovered that, holy cow, you can actually have a job where you're betting on those things. Well, I bet that my stuff's going to fail. And it did. So, but there was a company behind it and there was a trade to be had. Now that was 25 years ago. What has happened since then is an absolute renaissance in development, whereas the things that I did 25 years ago were incredibly manual. And I would be up till 2, 3 a.m. in the morning in the laboratory, switching plates and heating things and running PCR reactions. And it was slave labor. Oh my goodness, it was awful. It was like what Edison said, it's 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. Well, that was absolutely true then. That is no longer the case now. There's a myriad of machines that can do 1,000 times my efforts now. And that has led us to a golden age in drug discovery and development. And the same goes for Medtech also. It's not just hips and knees, it's a million other things to treat just about everything. And we're just at the beginning of this golden age of discovery and development. When I started, my concept to humans would usually take 7 to 8 years to get into a human. Now, you just saw under duress what can happen when we have a pandemic. They went from concept to human to market in a span of 5 months. Not that that will be done all the time, but the point is that the timeline from an idea to human has been compressed dramatically because of the tools that have been implemented, where it is preclinical animal models that are custom made to mimic humans. And so we can basically ferret out the high toxicity drugs that are in development very, very quickly. And so when drugs now get to phase 3 clinical trials, which is the end stage, the success rate is extremely high. I mean, these things used to fail all the time 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 12 years ago. And now they very rarely fail because there's an awful lot of legwork that can be done now to take the guesswork out. And that's really led us to an explosion of drugs to treat so many things. I mean, I could bring up many, many examples, but just this one is the drugs to treat diabetes now, entirely new mechanisms. Beforehand, we had 2 types of drugs, a pill and an antibody, and the antibodies were new. Now we have antisense therapy, gene therapy, viral-based gene therapy, in addition to antibodies that target multiple sites that are completely different than anything that occurs in the human. Multi-targeted antibodies. These are amazing things. And there's so much more that's in the pipeline of innovation, and we are just getting started. So if you would ask, do I need to be in healthcare in my portfolio? Absolutely you do. It's 17% of the economy, and you have an aligned interest in that. Nobody wants to age without grace. Everybody wants to live forever. And most are willing at the end, essentially, to pay anything for it and everything for it. So it is all the interests are aligned for healthcare to continue growing. And might I suggest that you do it through Pink and do it, and I'm not allowed to talk about publicly what the Pink performance is because it requires a ton of disclaimers. But what I can say is that my competition that is running alternate funds that I compete against based on performance are very upset. Is that
well said?
Say that? So yes,
I'm not the SEC, so I cannot speak for them, but it
Okay.
sounds good to me. Michelle, any closing thoughts from you?
Gosh, this conversation was such a wonderful integration of so many different perspectives and experiences and expertise. So I can't say that I have any parting golden words of wisdom other than, it was really fun to be here and meet everyone and partake in this conversation. Thanks for inviting me, Andy.
Well, I want to thank all the panelists for joining for this episode. And I appreciate you spending your time because we did go a little bit long. So I will make this really, really quick. I think that health is a strategic investment in wealth. We covered that. I loved Michelle's joy choice. And really, it's about setting the small goals. You don't have to be perfect. It's just moving in the right direction, and having that mindset is very important. I love that. Follow your passion. Figure out what it is that you're passionate about and do something that you enjoy, so you have the option to work well beyond 80. And then I just loved all the discussion about how we can eat better, what my plate should look like, and how we can do it sustainably. Longevity, I think, is a thing. And many of us will be living longer. Our kids are going to be living longer. So we need to invest wisely and do our financial planning. So I want to thank Michelle, Manisha, Toby, and Mike for joining. Please follow Michelle. You can find her at michelleseger.com. You can check out her books. I think that she has a quiz on there where you can do some kind of an assessment. Manisha Thakor, moneyzen.com. Toby Amidor, you can find her at tobyamidornutrition.com. And Mike Taylor, he advertised his Pink ETF. You can also follow his tweets at twitter.com, Mike_Taylor1972. Thanks everybody for listening and watching. Make sure that you join us next week. We have episode 17, The Investor's Journey, Andy's first watch acquisition. And we're going to bring back former Anthrax guitarist turned master watchmaker Dan Spitz. He'll be back. This will be Wednesday, December 13th at 6 p.m. Eastern. Until next time, do something that scares you, because that's where the magic happens.